Reach for the speed, reach for the whistle, go where the rail may run. Reach for the words, reach for the story, follow the rainbow sun. To a shining time station, where dreams can come true, waiting there for you. So much to see, so far to travel, so much to learn to know. Friends by your side, hopes to hold on to, who knows how far you'll go. To a shining time station, where dreams can come true. Your own imagination waiting there for you.
It was a lovely spring day on the island of Sodor. The birds sang and the sun shone brightly. Edward always enjoyed this time of year. The apples in the orchard shined in the bright sunlight, and he would always whistle to Trevor as he passed. The island was getting ready for the summer rush. Edward was pulling a goods train from Brendan and just enjoying his line. "Good morning, Edward." "Good morning, Lewis." Edward got to Wellsworth and began to shunt the trucks into position, ready for the passing heavy goods. "Hello there. Who are you?" "I am Murdoch. I've not long since arrived on the island." "Oh, I've heard of you. You're the one who got stuck on Gordon's Hill and Henry helped you." Yes, I was a little, arrogant." "That happens more than you think on this railway. As long as you learnt a lesson, then it's all good." Murdoch got a little annoyed at that statement. He didn't like this blue engine. Would you like a push up the hill?" "No, thank you. I have enough sand this time, unlike last time." Edward was perplexed and looked back at the long, heavy train. "What?" I said no, thank you." No, I heard you. It's just, I've rarely seen any goods train that length go up that hill, let alone without a banker." "Well, I appreciate your concern, but I assure you I'll be fine." "Look, Murdoch, I can't tell you how many times either I or someone else had to go out of their way to bank someone up that hill when an engine has thought they could pull their train over it by themselves. That's why me or Boko are scheduled to bank trains so often." "Well, since neither you or Boko is scheduled to bank me, and I've done this many times before..." "Done this many times before? I thought you all learnt your lesson. Looks like you're still an arrogant engine." Murdoch's smile had slowly dissipated since the conversation began, but now he bore an angry frown. Before Murdoch had said anything, Edward ran back to shunt the trucks. The guard's whistle blew and he'd set off. Edward tried to stop him, but it was drowned out as Murdoch tooted his whistle much louder and longer than he normally did. Edward was just left behind. He glared angrily at Murdoch as he disappeared into the distance. "The nerve of that orange spaceship! He's more rigid than his wheelbase. I can't wait for him to stall on that slope." At that point, Edward's driver spoke. "Come on, Edward. Our next train has to leave soon. You need to refill on water." Edward moved under the water tower, still seething. A few minutes later, Edward had finished his drink and backed down onto a goods train bound for Brendan's dock. As his guard passed him after grabbing some paperwork from the station, Edward spoke to him. Guard, I know I'm scheduled to leave in 4 minutes, but could you not blow your whistle until I blow mine to signal you?" The guard looked up at him. "What? Why?" "I have a feeling Murdoch is taking more than he can handle up Gordon's Hill." The guard hesitated. He knew Murdoch was a 9F, one of the most powerful locomotive classes ever built in Britain, but he'd worked with Edward for a long time and knew how Edward worked. He recalled this isn't the first time Edward had requested something like this, though it'd been a while. "All right, Edward. Do you know how long we'll be waiting?" "I'll seriously doubt we'll be leaving more than 5 minutes late if a call for me to bank his train doesn't come in, which it will. His train is more important than mine and will result in worse consequences if it's late, so it's better for us to wait here." "I see." And the guard walked back to his brake van. Meanwhile, Murdoch was pulling his train at a brisk pace, nearing the foot of Gordon's Hill. He frowned as he thought back to what had happened at Wellsworth. He didn't know the blue engine and found him rather rude. He gained speed and began to climb up Gordon's hill, laying sand as he went, and coasted over it easily. See? Nothing to it. Edward had said he would only wait 5 minutes, but was surprised when no call came in for assistance. He waited another 5 minutes. Edward's driver yelled at him. "What do you think you're playing at, Edward? We're supposed to leave 10 minutes ago. I don't care that you think Murdoch can't make it over the hill. He obviously made it over, otherwise we would have been called by now." Edward finally conceded, and blowing his whistle he began with a start, his wheels slipping, eager to make up for lost time. The guard had to scramble into his van as he set off. Edward rushed down his branch line. "We'll make up time on the way," he thought to himself. He may have made the time back, but his plans were rudely interrupted. Rounding a corner, he saw a lorry going over a level crossing. The lorry got stuck, and when Edward realised it wasn't going to move, he was barely able to stop in time. "Bust my buffers! Now I am going to be late!" By the time Butch came and removed the obstruction, Edward was running very late indeed. When Edward finally pulled into Brenham docks alongside the ship his cargo was to be loaded onto, he found, to his horror, the Fact Controller was waiting for him, with a very angry look on his face. Edward stopped on the quay, out of breath, and the Fact Controller began scolding him. "Edward, I'm very cross with you. I thought you, of all engines, would almost never be late. What happened?" "I'm sorry, sir. I was worried about that new engine, Murdoch, and then a truck got stuck on the crossing." "Well, the lorry getting stuck on the crossing wasn't your fault. If you had departed on time, that would not have been an issue in the first place. But you, Edward, should know just by looking at him how strong Murdoch is. You shouldn't have waited for so long. I've ignored your 5-minute waits in the past as I respect your experience. But 10 minutes is a joke. Furthermore, this was a very special load. It took a lot of hard bargaining to get the shipping company to agree to this trial run to work with us instead of the roads. That's why I'm here. I picked you, of all engines, to pull this train because I thought you were the most responsible, most reliable engine I could send. Evidently not. Thanks to you, I seriously doubt we'll be working with them again any time soon." Edward was sad. "I'm sorry, sir. No one told me it was a special load. I thought it was a normal goods train." The Fat Controller sighed and lowered his head. "You will spend the next 2 days in your shed, and then take Diesel's job of shunting in the yards. I can't let this go unpunished. Derek can work here in your place." "Yes, sir," Edward replied meekly and sadly steamed away. After sitting in the sheds for the next 2 days, Edward set about shunting goods train in the yards at Bradford. Rosie swapped with him so he could move coaches, but the Fat Controller then told Rosie off as well. He did his job well, but was bored and longed to be on his branch line again. Though he didn't complain, the other engines didn't talk to Edward much. They were shocked he was in trouble and knew not to ask why. Meanwhile, Murdoch was up at Vickerstown. He was still angry at Edward. "Did you hear? Edward's been shunting as punishment." "Edward? Whatever for?" "He was late with an important goods train and lost a contract for the Fat Controller." "An engine can be late. Can't be his fault. I heard he was waiting to see if an engine needed assistance. Apparently the other engine had been rather nasty." Who is Edward? Edward is the blue tender engine that works the Brenham line to Wellsworth. A full four-row wheel set. Very old, very reliable and very knowledgeable. Every engine respects Edward here and his knowledge, but for him to get in trouble is almost unheard of. In fact, he's seen more as a hero. A hero? Yes, I heard he once pulled a passenger train after his crank pin broke. They had to take his side rods off. And he took the express when Gordon took the wrong road. And he saved me too. Some kids had played with my controls and ended up being a runaway without missing a beat. Edward had an inspector race after me, and using a rope was able to slow me down and get someone in my cab to shut me regulator. And he taught me the road here. Murdoch looked down and sighed. I'm the engine that caused him to be late. The sheds fell silent. I thought he was being rude when he offered to bank me over Gordon's Hill, but I refused. I just wanted to prove I didn't need help to get over. I think you owe Edward an apology. Murdoch thought about it when the others went to sleep. The next day, Edward had shunted some pipes when Murdoch arrived. Hello, Murdoch. I didn't expect to see you here. Well, yes, some faulty points jammed James in a siding, so I'm going to take his load of metal pipes to Crovan's Gate along with my normal train. I assume these are the trucks? Yes, they are, Edward replied, and as he did 2 weeks ago, looked at Murdoch's train again. Murdoch recognised what Edward was doing, and this annoyed him again. Don't worry, while I'm still getting more trucks at your station, Derek will be banking me up the hill to help with the extra weight. The concern on Edward's face left, but then returned a moment later. Did you say Derek was banking you up? Not Boko? Yes, apparently the workmen at Crovan's Gate have tinkered with his engines a bit, so they'll be more reliable, until they can rebuild them to have no problem. Let's just hope they hold under this much strain. Indeed, responded Edward. As Murdoch got ready to leave with his train, he spoke again. Edward, can we talk here tonight? Edward was taken aback for a moment, but answered, Yes, Murdoch, of course. With that, Murdoch's guard blew his whistle, and with a quieter and shorter whistle than the one he'd given Edward the last time, smiling rather than scowling, he left. Derek was waiting with more trucks from Brendan when Murdoch arrived. He shunted them onto Murdoch's train, and as they prepared to depart, Murdoch spoke to Derek. Derek, Murdoch began, speaking as a friend, are you sure you can do this? Do you want to do this? I know about your class's history. I don't want to cause you any damage. It's all right, Murdoch. I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't. Besides, no matter which way they try to rearrange the schedule, Boko wasn't going to be able to be your banker instead. And even if I do break down pushing you up, that's better than you breaking down trying to go up by yourself. Better than me than you. Don't talk about yourself like that, Derek, he shouted, taking Derek aback. Murdoch frowned and sighed. Sorry, but while mainline operation integrity is more important than branch line operation integrity, we're all equals as engines. Don't let your engine troubles make you think that you're anything less than the rest of us. It's all right, Murdoch. I'll be fine, Derek replied. Just then the guard blew his whistle and the two engines set off. They made good time and began the climb of Gordon's Hill well. However, Derek's engine trouble came back to haunt him. Oh no, Derek said, and he began to ease off. Murdoch felt himself slowing and called to Derek. Are you alright, Derek? Should we stop? It's alright. Keep going. At that point they were only halfway up and Derek's engine began to settle down. They went further, but suddenly Derek's engine heated up extremely fast, and before he knew what was happening, smoke and sparks flew from his exhaust, and spluttering terribly, he lost power and the train ground to a halt. Murdoch was feet away from the crest of the hill. Derek just groaned. Sorry, Murdoch. I shouldn't have kept going just because my engine seemed to go back to normal for a bit. It's alright. But now it's best we wait for help. Meanwhile, Edward was resting in a siding at Knapford with all the trucks organised. Suddenly, the yardmaster came running up. What's wrong? Murdoch stole on Gordon's Hill. Derek broke down trying to bank him. I was afraid that might happen. I suppose you need me to go up to help him then. You're the only other available engine. Alright then. Let's go. His driver and fireman hopped in and they left the yard for the hill. Edward arrived behind them a bit later. Good to see you, Edward. We could use a reliable engine to bank Murdoch. Derek, what did I tell you at Wellsworth? Right, sorry, Murdoch. It's alright. Now, Edward, we're not too far from the top of the hill. Do you think we should start from here rather than backing down for a run-up? Edward thought for a moment. Derek, can you move at all? I'm afraid not. I'll just be dead weight. I see. Edward looked back up the train. We might as well try starting here. If that doesn't work, going back down to run up afterward won't make much of a difference in time. But if we start it here, we will save some. Alright, ready when you are, Edward. The guard blew his whistle, and with the 2 whistles from Edward, they started. Sand poured from their gears, their pistons wheezed and their side rods strained, and after a few seconds, they began moving. Murdoch soon crested the hill, and with each truck that crested after him, the strain lessened on both Murdoch and Edward. At last they were fully over the hill, and the train with its 3 engines cruised down the line. At Craven's Gate, Murdoch stopped to leave the metal pipes, Edward and Derek, and whistling goodbye he continued on his way. Edward had a well-deserved drink, and after putting the metal pipes in the right siding, shunted Derek into the works. To his surprise, the Fat Controller was waiting for him, but this time he was smiling. Ah, Edward, thank you. If it wasn't for you, Murdoch's train would have been even more late. Oh, thank you, sir, Edward replied, only half happy remembering how he'd been late 2 weeks ago. Also, I've talked to the shipping company and they've arranged to give us a second chance. A train will be going from Wellsworth to Brendam tomorrow. I want you to take it. I trust you'll be on time this time. Do that and you can run on your branch line again. Yes, sir. Edward smiled widely. The Fat Controller turned to Derek. Derek, while I appreciate your determination to bank Murdoch, and you should push yourself, you shouldn't strain yourself, especially given your circumstances. Derek frowned and looked down at his buffers. Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. The Fat Controller wasn't done, however. Cheer up, Derek. I have good news. The workmen have found a way to rebuild your engines. They'll start tomorrow, and soon you'll be able to pull trains without worrying about teething troubles. Oh, thank you, sir. The Fat Controller left and Edward headed back to Knapford. Later that evening, Edwards was shunting one last train when Murdoch came in. "Hello, Murdoch."
"Hello, Edward. Can we talk now?"
"Of course, Murdoch."
"You see, Edward, on my first day here, when I was stuck up and arrogant towards Henry and my crew, we left Knapford without any sand in my sanding gear. We got stuck on the hill, as you know. You were right. I had learnt my lesson about that hill, but I just got so annoyed and upset with the way you spoke to me. I went back to my old ways. I tried to tell you I had enough sand, but that streamlined engine cut me off."
"I'm sorry. I just assumed you would be like Gordon, James or Henry. I didn't mean to be rude. It happens so often a new engine gets stuck that I got into a routine almost."
"Oh, it's quite all right. I don't blame you for thinking that. I can't say I would do the same in your place, and to your credit, most of my siblings were boastful and arrogant, as well as most other BR standard classes."
"I see."
"Unfortunately, even being in preservation hasn't stopped their boasting. I remember the day Sir Topham Hatt came to my railway."
Murdoch sat in a siding on his little heritage line. It was in a small town at the end of the line, but the track did get a good view of the sea at some point. It was nice and quiet here on his little preserved line, but it was getting close to the weekend and he knew it was going to be a busy one, and it was a gala weekend and some famous engine was visiting. He hated how busy it got sometimes, with the loud kids running around and the clack, clack, clack of enthusiast cameras every few seconds. Murdoch just wanted to be a useful, pulling, proper engine, not fake goods trains or light passenger trains. But at least he wasn't scrapped, other engines would tell him. Yet he had a sense of impending doom. His boiler certificate had ran out a few years ago, and he'd sat in the same sidings waiting overhaul, or the scrapper's torch. The railway had kept him looking good, but he longed to have steam running through his pistons again. He looked over to the road as a lorry was unloading a big blue engine.
"Oh, the indignity! Settle down, Gordon. This railway has been struggling recently, and a visit from you is hopefully going to bring the people. You are famous, after all." "But, sir, I'm an express engine. I'm not meant for these heritage lines." "That's enough, Gordon. It's your own fault for setting a record again." "Oh, stow it. At least you get to travel."
The man in the suit turned around.
"And you are?"
"As if you care."
"Yes, I do care. A 9F like yourself is a sight to be seen when working. I was so desperately trying to get a hold of one before BR scrapped them. I take it you're the one waiting overhaul?"
Murdoch glared at the man.
"Just leave me in peace for a little longer. Your visit is going to make it busy and noisy tomorrow. Do you not like being here?" "Yes and no. I like the quiet calmness the scene brings, but at the same time I do miss being useful and doing some real work." "I see. Would you like to come to my railway?" "And leave the sea? No, thank you. You'll just have me working on another silly little preserved line or in a museum. I have docks and harbours, hills and valleys and forests to run through." "Pah! There's only one railway like that, and it's Sodor." "Wait. Did you say Gordon? As in Gordon the Pacific? So you've heard of me? That means... Oh, you're Sir Topham Hatt." "Indeed I am." I'm sorry, sir. I didn't know you were the saviour of steam. Please forgive me." "I will see about that. I'm going to make your railway an offer."
And the man in the suit left. After the gala weekend, both Gordon and Murdoch were loaded onto lorries for a short trip to the island.
"So you see, Edward, I have a lot to prove to Sir Topham Hatt, and I really didn't mean to get off on a bad wheel with you. The other engines speak so highly of you."
Edward smiled, and the two chatted before it was time for Edward to leave. Edward soon went back to the Brendan line. The children cheered in the orchard as he steamed past. The vicar rang the church bells as well. Murdoch always asked Edward for advice whenever he stopped at Wellsworth before the hill. "A full head of steam and power on through. You can pull that easily." The two are good friends now, and Murdoch even comes to Brendan Harbour from time to time. Derek's engine rebuild worked wonders on him, and now runs on the island like a new engine. Murdoch and Edward always whistle at him, and he can now go up Gordon's Hill without issues. I'm a new engine!
Reach for the wind, reach for the whistle, go where the rail may run. Reach for the song, reach for the story, follow the rainbow sun. To a shining time station where dreams can come true, waiting there for you. So much to see, so far to travel, so much to learn to know. Friends by your side, hopes to hold on to, who knows how far we'll go. To a shining time station where dreams can come true. Your own imagination's waiting there for you. To a shining time station where dreams can come true. Your own imagination's waiting there for you, waiting for you.